If people think they have figured you out, you have already lost the game. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are being read like an open book. Your coworkers know exactly what buttons to push. Your friends know what you will tolerate and what you will forgive. Your family knows which guilt trip works every single time. Even strangers size you up in seconds and decide you are safe, predictable, manageable. And that is the most dangerous word in the English language. Manageable. Because manageable people do not get promoted. Manageable people do not get respected. Manageable people get used, dismissed, and forgotten. You have been taught your entire life that being a good person means being transparent, being open, being easy to read. But transparency is not virtue. Transparency is vulnerability dressed up as honesty. Every time you show your hand, every time you explain your reasoning, every time you let someone see what you are feeling before you have decided whether they deserve to see it, you hand them a weapon. And most people are not kind enough to set that weapon down. The single most charged idea I can give you is this. Looking harmless is not the same as being harmless. It is the same as being conquered. Machiavelli understood something 500 years ago that most people still refuse to accept today. Perception is reality. Not a version of reality. Not a distortion of reality. Reality itself. The person who appears dangerous is treated as dangerous. The person who appears harmless is treated as prey. It does not matter what you are on the inside if the outside is broadcasting weakness. The world does not reward who you are. It rewards who it believes you are. And if it believes you are soft, it will eat you alive. So here is the thesis that will run through everything I am about to tell you. If they think they have figured you out, you have already lost. The moment someone can predict you, they can control you. The moment they can control you, you are not a player. You are a piece on their board. What follows are 7 principles for making sure no one ever fully figures you out again. 7 dark tricks for managing your image, hiding your true intentions, and commanding the kind of respect that makes people think twice before they even consider crossing you. Some of these will feel uncomfortable. Some will feel like they contradict everything you were raised to believe about being a good person. But being a good person and being a dangerous person are not opposites. The most dangerous people in history were often the most composed, the most measured, the most seemingly decent. That is what made them untouchable. Let us begin. Number 1. Never reveal the purpose behind your actions. Most people narrate their lives as they are living it. They announce what they are going to do before they do it. They explain why they are doing it while they are doing it. And they justify it after they have done it. This is a habit born from insecurity. You want people to understand you. You want them to see that your intentions are good. You want credit for your reasoning. But here is what you do not understand. Every explanation is a map of your weaknesses. When you tell someone why you are doing something, you are showing them exactly what matters to you, what you are afraid of, what you are hoping to achieve. You are handing them the blueprint of your mind and saying, here, use this against me later. Strategic people move in silence. They do not announce. They do not explain. They act, and then they let the results speak. When people cannot figure out what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. They cannot undermine you because they do not know which direction you are moving. They cannot talk you out of it because they do not know what it is. They are forced to react to you instead of acting first. That is power. The power of being unreadable. Think about the last time someone did something unexpected and you had no idea it was coming. Remember that feeling in your chest. That jolt. That sense of being caught off guard. That is what you should be creating in other people. Not constantly. Not randomly. But at the moments that matter. When you are negotiating. When you are being tested. When someone is trying to push you into a corner. That is when you go quiet. That is when you stop narrating. And that silence will do more for your position than any argument you could possibly make. Because arguments can be countered. Silence cannot. Mystery cannot. A person who might know something is always more frightening than a person who definitely knows nothing. Be the person who might know something. Let me say that again because it is worth screenshotting. A person who might know something is always more frightening than a person who definitely knows nothing. The cost of being an open book is this. You are constantly managed by the people around you. They know your triggers, your soft spots, your patterns. They never have to fear you. They never have to wonder about you. And so they never have to respect you. Not truly. They might like you. But being liked is not being respected. Being liked is the participation trophy of social dynamics. Respect is the championship. And you do not earn respect by being readable. You earn it by being a little bit frightening. Number 2. Appear to have virtues without being bound by them. This is where most people get uncomfortable, so let me be precise. I am not telling you to be evil. I am not telling you to be cruel. I am telling you that rigidly performing virtue at all times is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Because the world is not kind to people who are always nice. The world tests them. It pushes them. It sees how far it can bend them before they break. And when it discovers that you will always forgive, always accommodate, always be the bigger person, it will exploit that endlessly. Machiavelli put it bluntly. A person who always acts virtuously will come to ruin among those who do not. This is not cynicism. This is observation. You have seen it in your own life. The person who never says no gets loaded with everyone else's work. The person who always forgives gets betrayed again and again. The person who always takes the high road gets run over by people who have never even seen the road. The solution is not to abandon virtue. The solution is to appear virtuous while remaining free to act otherwise when the situation demands it. You look merciful, but you are capable of being ruthless. You look patient, but you are capable of striking without warning. You look generous, but you know exactly when to withhold. The appearance of virtue opens doors. The flexibility to abandon it when necessary keeps you alive. Most people do not have this flexibility. They are locked into a performance of goodness that they cannot escape because their identity depends on it. They are not good because they choose to be. They are good because they are terrified of being anything else. And that fear is visible. That fear is readable. That fear is what makes them look harmless. Here is what this is costing you right now. Every time you automatically play the good person in a situation that calls for something harder, you lose a piece of ground that you will never get back. People file that away. They remember that you folded. And the next time, they expect you to fold again. You are training the people around you to see you as someone who will always give in. That training is the most expensive education you will ever pay for. You are paying with your dignity, your time, your energy, and your future. Stop paying. Start choosing when to be virtuous and when to be something else entirely. Number 3. Play the sucker to catch the sucker. This is one of the most underrated weapons in the entire arsenal of human influence. And almost nobody uses it because almost nobody is willing to look less intelligent than they actually are. The ego will not allow it. You want people to know how smart you are. You want to be the one who figures things out first, who says the clever thing, who sees the pattern before anyone else. But here is the problem. When people know you are smart, they guard themselves around you. They choose their words carefully. They hide their true intentions. They present you with a polished version of themselves because they know you are sharp enough to catch the flaws. Now consider the alternative. What if they thought you were a little slow? A little naive? A little easily impressed? What would they do? They would relax. They would let their guard down. They would say things they would never say in front of someone they considered an intellectual threat. They would reveal their hand without even knowing they were holding cards. This is not deception for the sake of being deceptive. This is strategic humility. You make people feel smart, and in return, they show you exactly who they are. No one likes feeling stupider than the next person. That is a fundamental law of human ego. When you make someone feel intellectually superior, they become generous with information, with access, with trust. They lower the drawbridge because they do not believe there is anything inside your castle worth protecting against. And by the time they realize their mistake, you have already seen everything you needed to see. Let me give you a practical application. Next time you are in a negotiation, a confrontation, or even a casual conversation where you suspect someone is not being straight with you, try this. Ask a question you already know the answer to. Ask it simply. Ask it as if you genuinely do not understand. Watch what happens. The person will either tell you the truth, which confirms they are honest, or they will lie, which tells you they are not. Either way, you have gathered intelligence while revealing nothing about yourself. You looked like you were seeking knowledge. You were actually conducting reconnaissance. That is the art. That is the dark trick. You look like a student. You operate like a spy. And the beauty of it is that no one ever feels threatened by a student. The cost of always needing to look smart is that you never get to see who people really are. You only get to see the version they perform for smart people. And that version is never the real one. The real one only comes out when they think no one is watching. Make them think no one is watching. Number 4. Cultivate calculated mystery. There is a reason that admiration travels toward the unknown. When you do not know everything about someone, your mind fills in the gaps. And what your mind fills in is almost always more impressive, more intimidating, more powerful than the truth. Mystery is not about being weird. Mystery is not about wearing dark clothing and speaking in riddles. Mystery is about restraint. It is about giving people just enough to form an impression but never enough to form a conclusion. Most people overshare compulsively. They talk about their plans, their problems, their past, their feelings, their opinions on everything. They do this because silence makes them uncomfortable. They would rather say something stupid than say nothing at all. But every piece of information you volunteer is a piece of leverage someone else can use. Every story you tell without being asked is a window into your psychology that a perceptive person will climb through. Calculated mystery means you share selectively. You answer questions with precision but without excess. You tell people what they need to know, not what they want to know. And when they push for more, you smile and redirect. That smile is doing enormous work. It says, "I heard your question. I chose not to answer it. And there is nothing you can do about it." That is a power move. A quiet one. The kind that most people do not even recognize as a power move until hours later when they are replaying the conversation in their heads and realizing that they walked away with nothing. Think about the people you have known who carried an aura of authority. Were they the ones who talked the most? Were they the ones who explained everything? Or were they the ones who said very little? Who let silence do the heavy lifting, who made you feel like there was a depth to them that you could not quite reach? That depth is not a personality trait. It is a strategy. And it is available to anyone willing to stop talking long enough to let it form. Here is a line worth remembering. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. And what they imagine is always more powerful than what you could ever show them. Let that sink in. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. And what they imagine is always more powerful than what you could ever show them. You are currently paying a price for your transparency that you do not even see. Every time you overshare, you shrink. You become smaller in the eyes of the listener because there is nothing left to discover. You become a completed puzzle, and completed puzzles are set aside. People do not obsess over what they have already figured out. They obsess over what they have not. Be the puzzle that never quite gets finished. Number 5. Balance awe with approachability. This is a subtle one, and getting it wrong can undo everything else. If you are too mysterious, too distant, too intimidating, people will not respect you. They will fear you. And fear without respect breeds resentment. Resentment breeds conspiracy. People who feel they cannot reach you will eventually try to tear you down. Machiavelli understood this tension perfectly. A leader must inspire awe through achievements and bearing while remaining accessible enough that people feel heard. Not catered to. Not obeyed. But heard. The art is in being impressive without being unreachable. You want people to look up to you and also feel that they can speak to you. You want them to feel a small thrill of intimidation when you enter a room, but also a sense that if they came to you with something real, you would listen. This is a calibration that most people never master. They swing between extremes. They are either completely open, which kills the awe, or completely closed, which kills the connection. The strategic position is in between. You hold the door, but you decide who walks through it. You are warm, but only to a point. You are generous with your attention, but not with your inner world. People feel your presence as something significant without feeling it as something they own. That is the balance. Presence without possession. Authority without alienation. When you get this right, something remarkable happens. People start to bring you their best selves. They do not bring you complaints because they sense that you are not interested in weakness. They do not bring you drama because they sense that you will not engage with it. They bring you respect, real information, and genuine value because they have calibrated their behavior to match what they perceive in you. And that perception is something you designed. You did not stumble into it. You built it deliberately, stone by stone, interaction by interaction. The cost of getting this wrong is severe. If you are all awe and no approachability, you become isolated. And an isolated person, no matter how powerful, is eventually surrounded by enemies who have been plotting in the silence you created. If you are all approachability and no awe, you become a doormat with a personality. People walk over you while liking you, and that is perhaps the most pathetic position a person can occupy. Liked and disrespected. Do not let that be you. Number 6. Hide your weaknesses like your life depends on it. Because in the arena of power, it does. Let me be clear about something. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has fears, insecurities, gaps in knowledge, emotional triggers, vulnerabilities. The difference between people who get crushed and people who do not is not that the latter group has no weaknesses. It is that they never let anyone see them. Most people treat their weaknesses like conversation topics. They share them freely, sometimes even proudly, as if vulnerability were a badge of honor. They have been told that being vulnerable makes them authentic and relatable. And maybe it does. But authentic and relatable do not protect you. They make you endearing. And endearing is just a nicer word for harmless. When you show someone your weakness, you are not building trust. You are building a target. You are saying, here is where I am soft. Here is where I cannot take a hit. Here is the exact spot where pressure will make me fold. And you are trusting that the person you are showing this to will never use it against you. That trust is a gamble. And it is a gamble you will eventually lose. Not because everyone is evil. But because people are human, and humans under pressure will use whatever tools are available. The colleague who seems supportive today may be competing with you for a promotion tomorrow. The friend who listens to your fears tonight may be venting to someone else next week. The partner who holds you when you are weak may weaponize that weakness during an argument 6 months from now. You do not know. And that is exactly why you do not show it. This does not mean you ignore your weaknesses. You work on them privately. You address them internally. You build yourself up in the areas where you are soft. But you do not outsource that process to other people. You do not use confession as a substitute for growth. You handle your weaknesses alone, in silence, and you present a fortified exterior to the world. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. The Stoic mind does not advertise its turbulence. It composes itself. It presents steadiness even when the interior is in motion. That composure is not dishonesty. It is discipline. It is the refusal to let the external world dictate your internal state, and the refusal to let your internal state become public property. Your fears are your own. Your doubts are your own. Your moments of weakness are your own. Share them with no one who has not earned the right to see them, and almost no one has earned that right. Here is what your transparency is costing you. Every weakness you have shown someone is a debt you owe. And one day, when the relationship shifts, when the dynamic changes, when the stakes get high enough, that debt will be called in. And you will pay it with interest. Stop accruing that debt. Start holding your cards close. Number 7. Control the narrative before someone else does. If you do not manage your image, someone else will manage it for you. And they will not manage it kindly. In every social environment, every workplace, every friend group, every family, there is a narrative being constructed about you. It is being built out of the pieces you leave behind. The things you say, the things you do, the way you react under pressure, the way you handle conflict, the way you treat people when you think it does not matter. All of these pieces are being assembled into a story by the people around you. And that story becomes your reputation. Your reputation is not who you are. Your reputation is who other people have decided you are. And once it solidifies, it is extraordinarily difficult to change. Most people do not think about their reputation at all. They just live their lives and let the chips fall where they may. This is a catastrophic mistake. Because reputation is the currency of power. It determines whether people open doors for you or close them. It determines whether you are given the benefit of the doubt or the short end of the stick. It determines whether your mistakes are forgiven or catalogued. Strategic people manage their reputation the way a general manages a battlefield. They are deliberate about what is seen and what is not. They understand that every interaction is a data point that someone is collecting, and they make sure the data tells the story they want told. This does not mean being fake. It means being intentional. It means recognizing that you are always being observed, always being evaluated, always being slotted into a hierarchy that you did not design but that you must navigate. And the people who navigate it best are the ones who understand that perception is not something that happens to you. It is something you engineer. You engineer it through consistency. You show up the same way every time. You do not have dramatic mood swings that people have to manage. You do not oscillate between warm and cold. You are steady. Steady is intimidating. Steady suggests depth. Steady suggests that there is something beneath the surface that is not easily shaken. You engineer it through selective visibility. You let people see your wins but not your desperation. You let them see your confidence but not your anxiety. You let them see your generosity but not your need to be liked. Every visible attribute is chosen. Every hidden attribute is protected. And you engineer it through silence. Because the moments you choose not to speak are the moments when your reputation is being built most aggressively. People fill silence with interpretation. And if you have laid the right groundwork, that interpretation will work in your favor. They will see your silence as wisdom, not as emptiness. They will see your restraint as power, not as timidity. They will see your distance as authority, not as aloofness. That is the payoff of managing perception. The same behavior, interpreted differently, produces entirely different outcomes. And you are the one controlling the interpretation. Not through manipulation. Through positioning. Through the deliberate construction of an image that makes people think twice before they cross you. Let me bring all of this together. We started with a single idea. If people think they have figured you out, you have already lost the game. And we have walked through 7 principles that ensure no one ever fully figures you out. You conceal your intentions. You appear virtuous without being bound by virtue. You play the sucker to catch the sucker. You cultivate calculated mystery. You balance awe with approachability. You hide your weaknesses. And you control the narrative before someone else does. None of these require you to be cruel. None of them require you to hurt anyone. What they require is something harder than cruelty. They require discipline. The discipline to stop narrating your own life. The discipline to tolerate the discomfort of being misunderstood. The discipline to hold your tongue when every cell in your body wants to explain, justify, defend. The discipline to let people be wrong about you because their wrongness gives you an advantage their correctness never would. This is the ruthless art Machiavelli perfected. The art of appearing as one thing while being another. The art of letting people see only what you choose to show. The art of being perpetually, deliberately, dangerously unreadable. And now it is yours. Not as a theory. As a practice. Something you start doing today, in the very next conversation you have. You speak less. You reveal less. You observe more. You let the silence work. You let the mystery build. You let people wonder. And in their wondering, you become powerful. Because a person who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. And a person who cannot be controlled is, by definition, dangerous. Not harmful. Dangerous. There is a difference. Harmful people lash out. Dangerous people hold their power in reserve. Harmful people are feared and hated. Dangerous people are feared and respected. Harmful people burn out. Dangerous people endure. Be dangerous. Be the person who walks into a room and changes its temperature without saying a word. Be the person whose silence is louder than other people's speeches. Be the person who is liked when it serves them and respected always. Be the person who never, ever looks harmless. Because looking harmless is the same as being conquered. And you were not born to be conquered. You were born to be untouchable. Right now, not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Right now. Start closing the doors you left open. Start pulling back the curtains you never should have drawn. Start letting people see less so they imagine more. Start being the mystery instead of the explanation. And if you understand what I have told you, if you feel it in your body like a gear shifting into place, then go to the comments and write 4 words. I am untouchable. Not because typing it makes it true, but because declaring it means you have decided to start living like it. And that decision, that single decision, is where everything changes. The ruthless art Machiavelli perfected, now it is yours. Use it.